The master key takedown. Picture this, a quiet afternoon in Willow Lane, Maplewood, Ohio, the kind where the sun casts a golden glow on your front porch, and your prize-winning roses sunshine glory, if you're curious, are basking in the warmth. You're out there, maybe thinking about pruning a bit, when suddenly, cold steel snaps around your wrists. One minute you're a retired schoolteacher enjoying your property, and the next, you're spun around, facing your front door, with a cop barking orders like you just robbed a bank. That's exactly what happened to me, Henry Thompson, on a Tuesday I'll never forget. And the puppet master behind it all? My neighbor, Margaret Reynolds, the self-crowned queen of the Willow Lane Homeowners Association, or as my daughter Lily later dubbed her, HOA Tyrant Supreme. Buckle up, folks, this is a story of petty power, abuse of authority, and a neighborhood that fought back. I'm Henry, 68 years young, a former biology teacher who's called this cozy house on Willow Lane home for over 3 decades. I raised Lily here, buried my dear Ellen here, and painted these walls more times than I care to count. I'm a man of routine garden, my coffee, my peace. But 3 years ago, Margaret and her husband, Officer Frank Reynolds, moved in across the street, and peace became a scarce commodity. Margaret was always on a mission. My grass was too wild. My Chi Mesa gift from my grandson were disruptive, and my blue shutters clashed with her vision of neighborhood harmony. Ellen used to say I had the patience of a monk and the stubbornness of a goat. She wasn't wrong. I could handle Margaret's notes and glares, but that Tuesday, she crossed a line that turned my goat side loose. I was in the backyard, battling some dandelions, when I heard a racket out front like someone was attacking a piano with a crowbar. I rounded the house, wiping sweat from my brow, and there she was, Margaret, in her signature crimson blazer, wielding a hammer and prying at my front door. Not knocking, not ringing, prying. "Margaret," I said, keeping my tone steady, "you lost your way? That's my door you're mangling." She jumped, hammer still in hand, her perfectly coiffed hair a bit frazzled. "Henry Thompson," she shrieked, as if I were the intruder. "This is an official HOA inspection. Your door's non-compliant, and my master key isn't working." "Master key?" I laughed, unable to hide my disbelief. "Margaret, this is Maplewood, not a medieval castle. There's no such thing as an HOA master key for private homes. And that hammer looks a bit extreme for an inspection, don't you think?" Her face turned a shade redder than her blazer. "I have authority," she insisted, waving the hammer. My door now sported an ugly scratch near the lock. I stepped onto my porch, my patience thinning. "Margaret, you're damaging my property. Put the hammer down and leave before this gets ugly." That's when she lost it. "How dare you," she screeched. "I'm a pillar of this community. You people always think you're above the rules." The "you people" hit like a slap. It wasn't the first time she'd let that kind of venom slip, subtle jabs about my jazz records or Lily's visits in her beat-up sedan, but this was raw. Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone. "I'm calling Frank. He'll deal with you." And that's how I ended up in handcuffs on my porch. Officer Frank Reynolds, Margaret's burly, badge-wielding husband, roared up in his cruiser, yelling about me assaulting an HOA official. Margaret claimed I'd threatened her with a trowel still lying innocently by the dandelions in the backyard, and that I'd resisted arrest by daring to ask what crime I'd committed. Neighbors peeked out. Mrs. Clara from 2 doors down looked horrified. Young Bobby Carter, who mows my lawn, stared wide-eyed. Margaret stood there, arms crossed, her blazer glowing with smug triumph, pointing at the scratch on my door and claiming I'd tried to barricade myself in. I thought, this woman's unhinged, and her husband's a thug with a badge. The ride to the Maplewood police station was short, but humiliating. Frank muttered about tough old men and downtown justice, glancing at me in the rearview mirror like I was a career criminal. I stayed quiet. Years of teaching rowdy kids taught me silence speaks loudest. At the station, they fingerprinted me, photographed me, and threw out charges like attempted assault and disturbing the peace. I kept asking for specifics, but Frank just barked. The desk sergeant, a weary guy named Peterson, sighed and typed. "Here's where it gets interesting. My daughter, Lily, is a county emergency dispatcher, sharp, calm, and damn good at her job. She was handling a minor crash on the highway when she heard Frank's radio call. A disturbance on Willow Lane, my address, with 1 adult male in custody, Henry Thompson." Lily said her heart stopped. But she kept it professional, ear on the radio, noting every detail. She knew Mahostel, the guy who once nursed a stray kitten back to health. Something was rotten. After 2 hours in a hard plastic Cherno cell, thankfully, as even they knew this was shaky Detective Laura Bennett came to talk. I laid it out. Margaret's hammer, her master key nonsense, the you people jab, and how I was just defending my property. Laura nodded, left, and returned. Mr. Thompson, we spoke to Lily. She vouched for you. And frankly, your story checks out. Margaret's account doesn't match the scratches on your door. Those look like forced entry from outside. This smells like a neighbor's spat gone wild. You're free to go. Relief hit, but so did fury. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, was malicious. Lily was waiting in the lobby, her face a mix of relief and rage. Dad, you okay? She asked, hugging me tight. Madder than hell, I admitted. That woman and her husband can't just do this. Lily's jaw tightened. They won't. I heard enough on the radio to know Frank's out of line. We're fighting this. Over iced tea at home. Ellen always said it fixed half the world's problems. Lily laid out a plan. Tomorrow, you file a complaint against Frank with Internal Affairs and the city. We document everything. His rush to arrest, no probable cause, his wife's lies. And we dig into Margaret's HOA reign. She's not just bullying you, Dad, others are fed up too. The goat in me was ready to charge. The next morning, we drafted a complaint against Frank. Unlawful arrest, harassment, conflict of interest. I delivered it to Internal Affairs and the city manager. The IA sergeant, a no-nonsense woman named Carter, took my statement with a tired nod. We'll investigate. I wasn't optimistic, but it was a start. Then we tackled the HOA. Lily pored over the bylaws denser than my old biology textbooks and found gold. Any homeowner could request a financial audit with 10 signatures, and 15 could call a special meeting. Margaret's hammer stunt? Definitely urgent community concern. We started with Mrs. Clara, a retired librarian with a garden to rival mine. She was livid about my arrest. Margaret fined me because my cat napped on her fence, said it was a public nuisance. She signed our petition and promised to rally others. The Millers, down the street, were next. Margaret had scolded them for tacky lawn ornaments. The new couple, the Wongs, shared how Margaret made them feel unwelcome over a slightly full recycling bin. Willow Lane was a powder keg, and Margaret had lit the fuse. Margaret didn't take it lying down. A few days later, I got an HOA notice signed by her, of course citing my damaged door, her hammer's work, and my rose's unapproved hue. I laughed, then filed it as evidence. Lily chuckled. She's burying herself, Dad. We kept pushing. More signatures, more stories. I played along with Margaret's rules, trimming my roses with theatrical flair, loud enough for her to hear across the street. When she complained about my wind chimes again, I hung dozens of tiny ones, barely audible, but dazzlingly annoying in their sheer number. Lily had another idea, a letter to the Maplewood Gazette, not naming Margaret, but questioning HOA overreach. It sparked a buzz, with others writing in about similar gripes. Margaret's patrols intensified. Her newsletters grew frantic, but her control was slipping. One day, she cornered me by my trash cans, perfectly aligned, per her rules. I know what you're up to, Thompson, she hissed. Undermining my HOA. I smiled. Just want a fair, transparent HOA, Margaret. Not one that invents rules about breaking into houses with hammers. She froze, then stormed off. We were under her skin. The special HOA meeting, held at the public library, was electric. Willow Lane showed up and forced people who'd avoided meetings for years. Lily presented Margaret's vague financial reports, a single page with no receipts. Old Mr. Grayson, a retired CPA, called it a joke. I stood, voice steady, and recounted the hammer incident, the arrest, the you people slur. One by one, neighbors spoke. Clara about her cat, the Millers about their ornaments, the Wongs about feeling targeted. Mrs. Clara moved to remove Margaret from all HOA roles, seconded by Grayson. Margaret sputtered, "This is a coup." Frank, they're but off duty, just stared at his shoes. The vote was crushing, 35-2. Margaret grabbed her papers and fled, Frank trailing. A new committee was formed: Clara, Grayson, and Mrs. Wong. Willow Lane exhaled. That night, under the stars, I told Lily, sometimes a petition and fed-up neighbors are mightier than a hammer. Frank's reckoning came slower. Internal Affairs found he'd violated policy, no de-escalation, unprofessional conduct, undeclared conflict of interest. He got retraining, a letter in his file, not a firing, but a blow to his ego. The body cam footage, obtained via FOIA, showed his bias ignoring Margaret's role, fixating on me. We sent it to the city manager, ensuring it lingered. Whispers spread. Others filed complaints about Frank's heavy-handed stops. His swagger faded. Margaret retreated. Her crimson blazer vanished. Her lawn softened. The new HOA was transparent, fair. One day, Frank crossed the street as I tended my roses. "Henry," he said, awkward. "I screwed up that day. Margaret got me riled, but I should have been professional. The retraining's humbling." I nodded. "Learning's good, Frank. Power's tricky, use it wisely." He grunted and left. It wasn't groveling, but it was enough. The final act came at our annual Willow Lane barbecue. Everyone was invited, even the Reynolds. To my shock, they showed up, hovering awkwardly. After dinner, I tapped my glass. "Folks, we've had a wild year, but we're stronger for it." One neighbor's been very keen on home access. Eyes shifted to Margaret. Lily stepped up, revealing a 3-foot plywood key, painted gold, dripping with glitter, and a giant bow, inscribed, "Margaret Reynolds, official Willow Lane master, key use only in your dreams." Laughter erupted, not cruel, but joyous. I handed it to Margaret, her face cycling through shock, fury, and embarrassment. "Use it wisely," I said, "or try a doorbell." Surrounded by chuckling neighbors, she took the key nearly as big as her and shuffled home, Frank trailing. The party roared on, the master key incident, now a legend. Willow Lane settled into peace. My roses thrived, my wind chimes sang. I got a security system, testing its siren briefly, as Margaret checked her mail. A reminder, some doors stay locked. Margaret faded into quiet. Frank stuck to the main roads, even mentoring kids. The neighborhood healed, rooted in community, not control. Looking back, it wasn't just about Margaret's delusion or Frank's badge. It was about dignity standing firm when it's challenged, rallying neighbors, using truth and humor to right wrongs. Lily was my rock, her integrity guiding us. We didn't stoop to their level. We rose above, and that's why we won. What do you think, folks? Ever faced a bully like Margaret, wielding power like a club? Or dealt with injustice that made your blood boil? Share your stories in the comments, especially about confronting abuse or unfairness. Do you think humor, like our giant key, is the best way to fight back, or should it be all-out war? Take a stand. Let's hear your voice. This is Willow Lane, signing off. May your roses bloom and your doors stay yours.